stupid yesterday. So last night I went out and took the test for the technician license and passed. Did some studying for like a day. So what's that, you say? Well, I know it's become trendy to bash on the ham community and stepping on any ham radio operators. I ain't taking that away. It's well-deserved in many instances. But if anything this brief little foray into GMRS has taught me, it's that there's all these other things in the ham radio world that I want to try. Things that are actually really useful and might be better than some other commercial means of communicating. It's the inability of my spot satellite messenger to get a message out that has really irked me. When I went out a couple times with our buddy Todd, he uses a system called APRS, which allows him to literally text through an amateur radio. And he's able to keep in touch with his wife back home. He's also able to breadcrumb her his trail where he's going, and it costs him exactly $0 per month for this coverage. What's more insulting is that we've never been in a spot where Todd couldn't get a signal out, except for one place, and that was in the bottom of a canyon, and my spot didn't work there, but it also never worked anywhere else. If there's a hint of a tree anywhere, that spot just quits working. You see, it's only got like a 0.4 watt transmitter on it, trying to beam a signal into a satellite somewhere over there. I could have 40 or 50 watts pushing a signal, a dot dot diddly dot, to a repeater maybe somewhere over there. As big as GMRS is, it's not everywhere. You go to certain places in the US, you go pull up my GMRS, there's a lot of places that there still aren't GMRS repeaters. But if you look up on one of the ham websites looking for UHF repeaters and VHF repeaters, they're everywhere. The other thing is, as big as GMRS isn't, it's kind of outgrowing its bandwidth. What do I mean by that? Well, there's only 8 GMRS repeater frequencies. That's all you get. You can transmit on GMRS on a repeater on 8 different frequencies. That was fine a few years ago when there just weren't that many people doing it, but the hobby's growing. And if you get into major metropolitan areas where there's a lot of people and a lot of people density, well, you're gonna have a lot more GMRSers. But if you go over to the ham side, there's way more bandwidth to use. That's just plain and simple. You have access to hundreds, if not thousands, of frequencies. There's also cost. Did you know that the cost it took me to test and get my license was free, and I got my license the very next morning, and I didn't spend $1 for it when I spent $70 for a GMRS license that's supposed to be $35 today, that isn't $35 today, it's still $70. I literally spent $0 on this license. Huh? They don't make them like they used to. Your tape measure sucks. Just kidding. All right. So we've established that I want to get a ham radio license, but how do you go about that? And how did I go about doing that with literally spending less than a day's worth of my time studying and spending $0 on the entire process? Well, number one, my buddy Don reached out and he said, hey dude, let's go take our ham test. I'm committed to it. Do you want to go with me? And I said, sure. When do you want to do it? Next week. Okay. So he suggested an app, HRE-Tech, which is a free download through the Apple App Store or the Google Play Store. It essentially works as like flashcards. So you just study the tests and the test answers, and you memorize those, and then you can take a practice test and see how well your memorization has come. You see, the tests for any of the 3 ham radio licenses, the questions have been established long ago, and they're used for a span of 4 years and then discarded, and then new questions are written and put out in the test. Having access to the knowledge of what's going to be on the test, you don't need to really study and learn to think critically to answer a question that you don't know the answer for, because you will have already seen that question and that answer multiple times. So for many people, it's just easier to memorize those questions and those answers. Flashcards are great, but if your eyes are occupied with other things, as most of us are in this visually centric world that we live in now, you don't have a lot of free time to sit down to devote to learning flashcards and reading all that material. As a week went by, I was only able to use this app for an hour total, so I knew I was in trouble and I needed to find a way to get that information into my head. If you have somebody else read that material to you, you can put it into your ears and, fill the time that you would have been listening to music or a podcast with education. Well, enter the fast track to getting your ham radio technician license by Michael Burnett, which is an audiobook in which Michael reads the questions and the answers, and he also supplies context and additional information for each of those questions, which kind of helps you retain that material a little bit faster. I was able to legitimately listen to half of this book, which covered one entire cycle of questions, at 2 times speed in a matter of 3 to 4 hours tops, and most of that was spent while I was doing something else like walking the dog. You can utilize that resource for free. You don't have to pay money to download it. You literally just need to sign up for a free trial subscription at Audible, link in the description below. And with that free trial subscription, you do get free downloads. So just make this book your one free download. Listen to it, study, take the test, and cancel out your trial membership, and you'll never get billed. After I did that, I just went to the testing site on the day we were supposed to take the test, sat down, and it took me about 15-20 minutes to take the test. I wanted to be sure my answers were good. Stepped outside for 5 minutes with Don while they graded the test and said, "Hey, congratulations, you passed. You're now a technician level ham radio operator, and the FCC should be posting your call sign within the next 24 hours. In fact, it was up by 8 the following morning. It took me 3 days when I got my GMRS license to get my call sign, no time on the ham, and I didn't spend any money. So there you go. That's how I got my ham radio technician license, was spending less than a day studying and $0. I'll put links in the description below to all the things we've talked about, and you go out and try it and let me know how you do. Put some comments below. I'll even post resources to where you can go find the testing center and set up your testing dates. It's really not that hard. In hindsight, I was definitely nervous and apprehensive and unsure, and once I got into it, it really wasn't that bad. It's just a thought. That's how I did it. And now I'm excited to go out and make my first contact and become a member of the ham radio community. I'm Matt Kester. Till next time, be good.